Good morning, children. I am Arisara sir, working as a mathematics teacher in the Dr. Besant English Medium School. Children, we discussed some concepts in our previous class, what we have learned from 7th class mathematics. From 7th class mathematics, we learned the first chapter integers and also second chapter fractions, decimals and also rational numbers. And we learned the simple equations, that means linear equations in one variable. And if you go back to our 7th class mathematics textbook, our fourth chapter was lines and angles. Okay, lines and angles. Once we have to recapitulate what we learned from this chapter, lines and angles from 7th class mathematics. So we have learned one thing, adjacent angles. From this chapter we have learned adjacent angles. What are nothing but adjacent angles? What are nothing but adjacent angles? Once we have to recollect. So the angles which are formed having a common vertex and also common arm. If you see the diagram, observe. This is OA ray. OA ray, and it is OB ray, and this is OC ray, and angle AOC is one angle, angle BOC is another angle. For this angle AOC and also for this angle BOC, what is common vertex here? O. What is common vertex here? O. What is common arm here? What is common arm? That is OC ray. OC ray is the common arm. The angles which are having common vertex and also common arm. The angles which are having common vertex and also common arm. These two angles are said to be adjacent angles. Those two angles are said to be adjacent angles. So in this diagram, what are the adjacent angles? Angle AOC as well as angle BOC. These two are adjacent angles. We learned in our previous class. In addition to this, we learned vertically opposite angles. Vertically opposite angles. Vertically opposite angles. So once we go back, what we learned about vertical opposite angles? What are nothing but vertical opposite angles? How we will define? Vertical opposite angles means when two lines intersect each other. This is the line L and also this is the line M. When two lines are intersect each other, the angles which are formed opposite to each other. O is the common vertex. O is the intersecting point. O is the intersecting point of these two lines. So let us suppose A and B are 2 points on the line L. Let us suppose C and D are the 2 points on the line M. If you see angle AOD, this is one angle. Angle BOC, it is another angle. These two angles which are formed by these two intersecting lines with a common vertex O and opposite to each other. These two are vertical opposite angles. So angle AOD and also angle COB. Angle AOD and also angle COB. Vertically opposite angles. And another pair is there. Angle AOC. This one. Angle AOC and angle BOD. This one. Angle BOD. This one. So this is one pair of vertical opposite angles. This is another pair of vertical opposite angles. So vertical opposite angles means when two lines are intersecting to each other at the common vertex, the angles which are formed opposite to each other are said to be vertical opposite angles. Of course, as you know, vertical opposite angles are always equal. Okay. In addition to this, what we learned from this chapter, lines and angles of the 7th class. See, complementary angles we learned. Complementary angles. So actually angle is denoted by the Greek letter theta. So let us suppose theta 1 is one angle, theta 2 is another angle. If the sum of the methods of these two angles, that means if theta 1 plus theta 2 is equals to 90 degrees, then these two angles are said to be complementary angles. So can you say what is the complementary angle of 40 degrees? Yes, that is 50 degrees. Why? Because 40 plus 50 becomes as 90. So what is the complementary angle of 75 degrees? Yes, that is 15 degrees. Why? Because 75 degree plus 15 degree becomes as 90 degree. So if the sum of the methods of two angles is 90 degrees, then the two angles are said to be complementary angles. And also we learned supplementary angles. Supplementary angles. That means if the sum of the methods of the two angles theta 1 plus theta 2 is equal to 180 degrees, If the sum of the measures of two angles is 180 degrees, then those two angles are said to be supplementary angles. Can you say what is the supplementary angle of 120 degrees? 60 degrees. Why? Because 120 plus 60 becomes as 180. Can you say what is the supplementary angle of 150 degree? 30 degrees. Why? Because 150 degree plus 30 degree becomes as 180 degrees. Now see, two angles are complementary and both must be each other. Can you say what is the measure of each angle? Two angles are complementary and both must be equal. Can you say what is each angle? Yes, 45 degrees. So 45 degrees plus 45 degrees becomes as 90 degrees. Now come to my question. Two angles are supplementary and two angles must be equal. Can you say what is the measure of each angle? Yes, 90 degree. The 90 degree plus 90 degree is equals to 180 degrees. Okay, so we learned the complementary angles and supplementary angles from this chapter in our previous class 7. In addition to this, we learned some other concepts also from this class. If you see, this is one line L and this is line M. So these two lines do not meet at anywhere. These two lines do not meet at anywhere. So that's why they are said to be parallel lines. So window bars, example for parallel lines. Opposite sides of the board, example for parallel lines. Railway tracks, example for the parallel lines. So if you see, these two lines do not meet at anywhere, so these are said to be parallel lines. And these two parallel lines cut by some other line N at two different points A and B. So this line is called transversal. That line is called what? Transversal. If any two lines, of course, to define transversal, these two lines may or may not parallel. That is another thing. So if these two parallel lines cut by some other line at two different points, then this line is said to be transversal for the given two parallel lines. So totally, how many angles are formed? Yes, how many angles are formed? 8 angles. This is angle 1, this is angle 2, this is angle 3, this is angle 4. Okay, again, this is angle 5, this is angle 6, this is angle 7, and this is angle 8. That is angle 8. See, total how many angles are there in this diagram? 8 angles. And 8 angles are classified into some types of angles. So first one, exterior angles. What is first one? Exterior angles. The angles which lie outside of the parallel lines. The angles which lie outside of the parallel lines. If you see, easily we can identify what are exterior angles. Angle 1, angle 2, angle 7, angle 8. So angle 1 and 2, angle 7 and 8. These 4 angles are exterior. Why? Because these 4 angles lie outside of the parallel lines. So angle 1, comma, angle 2, comma, angle 7, comma, angle 8. These 4 angles are said to be exterior angles. And next is what? Interior angles. Interior angles. Interior angles means angles which lie inside of the parallel lines. Angles which lie inside of the parallel lines. What are they? Angle 3, angle 4, angle 5, angle 6. These 4 angles which lie inside of the parallel lines. That means angle 3, angle 4, angle 5, angle 6. So angles which lie inside of the parallel lines are said to be interior angles. And if you see, next is alternate exterior angles. Alternate exterior angles. Alternate exterior angles. The first condition, they must be exterior and also they are not adjacent angles and they are opposite to transversal. See the conditions to define alternate exterior angles. They must be exterior angles and they are not adjacent angles and they are opposite to transversal. Can you say what is alternate exterior angle for 1? Yes, 7. What is alternate exterior angle for 1? 7. So alternate exterior angle for 1 never be 2. Why? Because they are adjacent angles. So alternate exterior angle for 1 is angle 7. What is alternate exterior angle for 2? Angle 8. So angle 1, angle 7. It is one pair. And angle 2, angle 8. It is another pair. So angle 1 and angle 7, they are alternate exterior angles. Angle 2 and angle 8, they are alternate exterior angles. Okay. And next we have learned alternate interior angles. See this one. Alternate interior. Alternate interior angles. So alternating angles means the first one, they must be interior and they are not adjacent angles, means side by side, and they must be opposite side of the transversal. Okay. So easily we can identify What is alternate interior angle for 3? Angle 5. Angle 5. Angle 3 and angle 5. Angle 3 and angle 5. It is one pair of alternate interior angles. So what is another pair of alternate interior angles? Angle 4 and angle 6. Angle 4 and also angle 6. It is one pair. It is one pair. Angle 3, angle 5 and angle 4, angle 6. Okay. And next we have learned corresponding angles. Corresponding angles. Corresponding angles. Corresponding angles means the conditions. So they must be same side of the transversal. These 1, 4, 5, 8 or 2, 3, 6, 7. They must be same side of the transversal. That is one condition. They are not adjacent angles. They are not side by side angles. And we are not supposed to take 1 and 4. Why? Because they are side by side angles. We are not supposed to take 5 and 8. Why? Because they are side by side angles. And also other condition is one is exterior and other is interior. One is exterior and other is interior. So easily we can identify. What is corresponding angle of 1? Yes, angle 5. What is corresponding angle of 4? Yes, angle 8. So angle 1, comma, angle 5. It is one pair. Angle 1, comma, angle 5. Another pair is what? From this side, angle 4 and angle 8. Angle 4, angle 8. Angle 4 and angle 8. Come to this side. What is one pair of corresponding angles here? Angle 2 and angle 6. Angle 2, comma, angle 6. And what is another pair this side? Angle 3 and angle 7. So angle 3 and also angle 7. So totally how many pairs of corresponding angles we got? 4 pairs. 4 pairs. 4 pairs. So we have learned these things. And we had conditions also. Alternate exterior angles are always equal. That means angle 1 is equal to angle 7. Angle 1 is equal to angle 7. And angle 2 is equal to angle 8. Alternate interior angles are always equal. Angle 3 and equal to angle 5. Angle 4 is equal to angle 6. And the corresponding angles are always equal. So angle 1 is equal to angle 5. Angle 4 is equal to angle 8. Angle 2 is equal to angle 6. And angle 3 is equal to angle 7. And we have one more condition. Vertical opposite angles are always equal. Angle 2 and angle 4. Vertical opposite angles, they must be equal. Angle 1 is equal to angle 3. They are also vertical opposite angles. Angle 6 equal to angle 8. Because they are vertical opposite angles always equal. Angle 5 is equal to angle 7. Because they are vertical opposite angles always equal. So we had all these conditions in our previous class. Based on this condition, we did some problems also in some exercises. You did remember? Yes, okay. So after that one, when you go back to the 7th class maths textbook, and our next chapter was triangles and its properties. Triangles and also its properties. Okay. Triangle means what? It is a three-sided closure figure. It is a three-sided closure figure. See, ABC is one triangle. So the parts of the triangle, A is one vertex, B is one vertex, C is one vertex. Okay. So A comma B comma C are the vertices of the triangle. And AB one side, BC another side, AC another side. So AB comma BC comma AC are the three sides of the triangle ABC. And angle A and angle B and angle C, these are the three angles of the triangle. Triangle means it is a simple closure figure consisting of 3 line segments. Triangle means it is a simple closure figure bounded by 3 line segments. Okay, it is a least sided closure polygon. It is a least sided closure polygon. Okay, what is sum of 3 angles in the triangle? Sum of 3 angles. Sum of 3 angles in triangle ABC is equal to how many degrees? As 180 degrees. Or 2 right angles. Or 2 right angles. Why? Because 2 into 90 degrees is equal to 180 degrees. So sum of the 3 angles in the triangle, that is angle A plus angle B plus angle C. Angle A plus angle B plus angle C is equal to 180 degrees. Okay, sum of the 3 angles in the triangle is 180 degrees or the 2 right angles. Why? Because 2 into 90 degrees becomes as 180. And also, see what we learned from this chapter: 3 centimeters, 4 centimeters, again 2 centimeters. So once observe, with measurements 3 centimeters, 4 centimeters, 2 centimeters, can we able to construct a triangle or not? Can we able to construct a triangle or not? So if you use the protractor, and if you use scale and also compass to draw a triangle, whether we can able to form a triangle or not with these measurements. So we cannot able to form a triangle. Why? Because we need to verify one condition. The condition is sum of any 2 sides must be greater than third side. So 3 plus 4, 7 is greater than 2. That's okay. Again, if you see 4 plus 2, it is 4 plus 2 is 6 centimeters, it is greater than 3. Again 3 plus 2, 5 centimeters, it is greater than 4. Yes, I am extremely sorry, we can able to construct a triangle with these measurements. Why? Because sum of these two sides is greater than this one, sum of these two sides 4 plus 2, 6 is greater than 3, sum of these two sides 3 plus 2, 5 greater than 4. So sum of any two sides is greater than third side, so we can able to construct a triangle with these measurements. So if sum of any two sides is not greater than third side, then we cannot able to construct a triangle. That condition we need to verify whether we can able to construct a triangle or not with the given measurements. Okay children? Okay. After that one, types of triangles. Types of triangles. Types of triangles with the according to the sides. Types of triangles according to sides. If all the three sides are different, if all the three sides are different, then it is said to be what? Scalene triangle. Then it is said to be what? Scalene triangle. Again, in out of these three sides, if any two sides are equal, for example 5 centimeters, 5 centimeters, and also if we see 6 centimeters, once observe 5 plus 5, 10 is greater than 6, 5 plus 6, 11 is greater than 5, again 5 plus 6, 11 is greater than 5. So we can form a triangle with these measurements. These two sides are equal. So in out of three sides, if any two sides are equal and third one is different, this type of triangle is said to be what? As isosceles. Isosceles triangle. What it is? Isosceles triangle. If all the three sides are equal, that is 6 centimeters, that is 6 centimeters, another is also 6 centimeters. So see, all the three sides are equal. That is what type of triangle? Equilateral triangle. What type of triangle? Equilateral. Equilateral triangle. Okay children? So these are the three types of the triangles based on measurements, based on sides. Okay. And next, some other types of triangles are there according to angles. Based on angles. Observe. If you say this is one triangle PQR, angle P is equal to 70 degrees, for example. Angle Q is equal to 30 degrees, for example. So what must be degrees? How many degrees? Can you say? Because sum of the three angles in a triangle is how many degrees? 180. So 70 plus 30 becomes what? 100. It becomes as 80. So 70 plus 30, 100 plus 80, 180 degrees. So in a triangle, if each and every angle is below 90 degrees, if all three angles are acute angles, such type of triangle is said to be acute angled triangle. Acute angled triangle. Okay. Now observe. If you come to this one, verify. See this diagram. Let it be triangle A, B, C. For example, if it is 20 degrees, it is 130 degrees, and it is what? 130 plus 20, how much? 150. It comes as 30 degrees. In a triangle, if one angle is obtuse, means more than 90 degrees, the remaining two must be obviously acute. Only there is a possibility to exist one obtuse angle. Why? Because there is no chance of existing two obtuse angles in a triangle. So 130 plus 20, 150 plus 30, 180. In out of all the three angles, one angle is obtuse, that is more than 90 and less than 180. Such type of triangle is said to be obtuse angled triangle. What it is? Obtuse angled triangle. Obtuse angled triangle. And if you say, verify this one. This is a triangle L, M, N. So it must be 90 degrees. Why? Because this is horizontal line, this is vertical line. Both are perpendicular to each other. Both are perpendicular to each other. So let it be 50 degrees. This must be 40 degrees. So in a triangle, one angle is right angle. So sum of other two angles is also 90 degrees. 50 plus 40, 90. This 90 plus 90 is 180. So in a triangle, if one angle is 90 degrees, that is called what? Right angled triangle. What it is? Right angled triangle. Right angled triangle. Okay children. After this one, if you see this one, come to this one. This is PQR. It is 90 degrees. 90 degrees. Let us suppose it is 45 degrees. This is 45 degrees. Okay. So 45 plus 45, 90. And this is 90. 90 plus this 90, 180 degrees. In a triangle, one angle is 90. The other two angles must be equal. Each one is 45. So whenever these two angles are equal, opposite sides are also must be equal. So this type of triangle is said to be specifically right angled isosceles triangle. What type of triangle it is? Right angled isosceles triangle. Right angled isosceles triangle. Okay, so we learned all these things in our previous class 7 from that chapter lines and angles, triangles and its properties. Okay children, after this one, if you go back to our 7th class, we learned some other things also. Our next concept is say our next concept is ratio and its applications. Ratio and also its applications. If you observe, division of two quantities, division of two quantities, division of two quantities which are expressed in the division of two quantities which are expressed in the same units, which are expressed in the same units is called ratio. Is called what? Ratio. Division of two quantities which are expressed in the same units is called ratio. For example, A and B are the two quantities when they are expressed in the same units. When you divide A with B, that is A divided by B, is another form is A is to B. What is the another form of A by B? A is to B. In the ratio A is to B, A is called antecedent. A is called antecedent. B is called consequent. B is called consequent. Okay children. So after that one, we learned from this chapter ratio applications from our previous class. Compound ratio of two ratios. Compound ratio of two ratios. What was it? A is to B one ratio and C is to D another ratio. Compound ratio is nothing but product of antecedents is to product of consequence. What is the formula for a compound ratio? Product of antecedents. Product of antecedents is to product of consequence. Product of consequence. Product of consequence. If you see, what is an antecedent here? A into what is antecedent here? C. Product of antecedents means A into C. AC is to what is consequent here? B. What is consequent here? D. That is B into D. BD is to BD. So the compound ratio of A is to B and C is to D, that is product of antecedents AC is to product of consequence BD. Okay children, we learned this one also. And also we learned about proportion. And also we learned about proportion. How to find the proportion of two ratios. You know, A is to B one ratio and C is to D another ratio. So proportion means what? Proportion means what? Equality of two ratios. Equality of two ratios. See, equality of two ratios. Equality of two ratios is called proportion. That is A is to B is equals to C is to D. Equality of two ratios. How we can simplify? A is to B means A by B is equal to C is to D means C by D. By doing cross multiplication, A into D, AD is equal to B into C, BC. Now A means what? This one. D means what? This one. A into D means what? These are extremes. A and D are what? Extremes. Extremes. That means A into D means product of extremes. Product of extremes. Extremes is equal to B and C means these are means. So product of means. Product of means. Okay children. So proportion is nothing but product of extremes is equal to product of means. We learned this one also. So if you observe after this one, what we learned from this chapter ratio and its applications. For example, let us suppose market price of an article, something. Let us suppose market price of an article is 500 rupees. A shopkeeper allows a discount percentage, 10% on this one to sell that article. Market price of an article is 500 rupees and a discount percentage. Shopkeeper allows a 10% discount on that one. Then for how much price he has to sell that article, we know very well. There is a specific formula to find out selling price when the market price and discount percentage are given. What is that? SP is equal to MP into 100 minus discount percentage by 100. Okay, so MP means here what? 500 rupees. 100 minus discount percentage 10 percentage by 100. This is 500 into 100 minus 10 90 by 100. These two zeros 5 into 90 becomes as 450 rupees. That is selling price of article. So after allowing a discount 10 percentage on this, so here SP is equals to MP into 100 minus discount percentage by 100. And there is a formula for discount percentage. Discount is equal to discount by market price into 100. What is formula for discount percentage? Discount by market price into 100. We learned these concepts also. Again, see what we learned from this chapter. Let us suppose cost price of article is something. Cost price of article is something. Again, selling price of article is something. So, whenever selling price is greater than cost price, obviously we will get what? Profit. Obviously we will get what? Profit or gain. So, profit is equal to, we write SP minus CP. Profit is equal to SP minus CP. And there is a formula to find profit percentage also. Profit percentage. Profit percentage. Profit percentage is equal to profit by cost price into 100. What is formula for profit percentage? That is equals to profit by cost price into 100. Similarly, whenever say cost price is more than selling price, what we will get? Obviously we will get loss. Loss. What is formula for loss? Loss is equal to CP minus SP. And we need to find loss percentage. For example, loss percentage is equal to what is formula? That is loss by CP into 100. Okay, if you say either profit percentage or loss percentage, either profit percentage or loss percentage always calculated on CP. These are always calculated on CP. Okay, so again, when cost price and also gain percentage are given, we need to find selling price. There is a specific formula to find selling price directly when CP and gain percentage are given. So what is that one? SP is equal to CP into 100 plus gain percentage by 100. That is the formula. Again, so when if you observe SP and gain percentage are given, we can find out CP. When selling price and gain percentage are given, we can find out CP. CP is equal to SP into 100 by 100 plus gain percentage. See, CP is equal to SP into 100 by 100 plus gain percentage. From this formula only we can write this one also. If you make it as CP as a subject, CP is equal to SP into 100 by 100 plus gain percentage. That only I have written. Again observe, when CP and loss percentage are given, when CP and loss percentage are given, we can find out SP by using formula. What is formula? SP is equal to CP into 100 minus loss percentage by 100. Okay. Similarly, when SP and loss percentage are given, we can find out CP. That CP is equals to SP into 100 by 100 minus loss percentage. Okay, so all these formulas we learned from the chapter ratio and application from 7th class mathematics, and we did some exercise problems also based on these formulas. Okay, again after this one, what we learned from the same chapter ratio applications from the 7th class, we learned about simple interest. We learned about simple interest. If you observe that one, suppose if I borrow some amount from my friend, if I borrow some amount from my friend, let us suppose I borrowed 500 rupees from my friend. So what I am borrowing from my friend, that borrowing amount is called principal. That borrowing amount is called what? Principal, denoted by the letter P, that equal to 500 rupees. Okay, and now for 2 years I borrowed this amount. I mean after 2 years I told him to repay my amount. So period of time is equal to 2 years. That equal to T equal to 2 years. At the rate of interest, I told him at rate of interest is equal to R is equal to, let us suppose 5%. 5% is nothing but 5% means per 100 5 rupees I have to pay extra. 5% means for 105 rupees I have to pay extra. That is called rate of interest. So simple interest, that is simple interest, is equal to SI is equal to PTR by 100. This is the formula to find simple interest. What is formula? Simple interest is equal to PTR by 100. P means principal, what I borrowed. T means period of time, 2 years. R means rate of interest, 5%. By this is 100. So these two zeros cancel. 5 2s are 10, 10 5s are 50. 50 rupees extra I have to pay him. So total amount, how much I have to pay to clear my debt? Total amount after 2 years, how much I need to pay to clear my debt? So amount is equal to principal plus interest. So principal means what I borrowed, 500 plus 50 rupees extra I have to pay, that becomes as 550 rupees. So totally 550 rupees I have to pay him to clear my debt. Okay. So this is the information regarding simple interest. So if you observe that one, amount is nothing but what? Amount is equal to principal plus this interest. Principal plus this interest. So amount is equal to principal plus I means PTR by 100. I means what? PTR by 100. So A is equal to, from this what is common variable? P. We can take it out as common. So still we have the quotient is 1. P into 1 P. Plus already we have taken P as common. It is TR by this is 100. If you see, A is equal to P into 1 plus TR by 100. So this is the direct formula to find amount through the simple interest. For example, A is equal to principal means what I borrowed, 500 into 1 plus time means 2 years. R means rate of interest 5% by 100. So 500 into 1 plus 250 is 100. 5 tens are 50. Here 1 is there, 1 by 10. So it is 500 into 10 ones are 10 plus 1, 11 by 10. So 0 0 cancel, 50 into 11, 550 rupees, which is amount. So here also we have to pay 550 only. So first we need to find interest. After that the interest should be added to principal to find amount. This is one way. Directly we can find out amount through this formula, through the simple interest. A is equal to P into 1 plus TR whole by 100. So we learned all these things from the 7th class, chapter relation and applications. Okay children, thank you all.